Okay, I will call the Southbury Board of Selectmen regular meeting, April 6, 2023, to order at 7 p.m. in room 205 Southbury. If we could have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Rearrange the room.
Whoa, you're throwing me all off here. I'm losing my rhythm. Just for the note, we do have John Dio, who is remote. We do have a quorum present of the Board of Selectmen. Holly Sullivan is also on. So we have a quorum. We're just short one. Presentation of the Land Trust, if you could come up and make a presentation on.
Thanks for squeezing us in.
Press the button.
Thanks for squeezing us in. Hi, I'm Pat Monahan, the Board of Directors for Southbury Land Trust. I'm here with Regina Badura, our Stewardship Director. The Southbury Land Trust is here this evening to request that the Board of Selectmen approve a resolution on behalf of the town that formally requests that the Town of Southbury is applying to be part of the Highlands Act region. The Highlands Act is a piece of legislation that was originally passed back in 2004 that designated a specific multi-state area for dedicated open space preservation, which came along with some substantial federal funding to achieve this goal. The region spans from northern New Jersey, portions of New York, and most of northwestern Connecticut. This area was deemed particularly sensitive by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Appalachian Mountain Club. That is why the preservation legislation and approach was created. The two groups currently administer grants aspects of the preservation region. The towns that belong to this region have access to this funding. In the original act, towns that were outlined at the beginning of the region did not have to take any action to opt in. They were either in and had access to the grants, or they were out and they didn't have any access to any of the money. If you refer to the map which you have up on the screen, you can see which towns were included originally in the darker yellow, and then the newer towns that are have the option now to opt in. There has been at least one time back in 2007 where the Southbury Land Trust inquired if they could get some funding from the Highlands Act, but we were not allowed to have that. You have to be part of the towns that have been in the act to be able to get that money. Recently, the Highlands Act was renewed in the U.S. Congress, but as part of the renewal, they changed the scope, and the area was expanded, and now towns like ours have the ability to ask to opt in. The new legislation did change a few things. One change was that the towns interested in being in the region must apply to be in the region. Towns are no longer automatically put in. Once a town applies, it's really a 2-year process to be approved before you become part of it. And at which time you can start to apply for grants to get money for conservation projects. This is not just for the Southbury Land Trust. Also, funds will become available to Southbury Conservation Commission and private organizations like Audubon. So they'll be able to benefit as well if we opt in. There's a lot of money. How much money are we talking about? The grant was funded in 2023 for $22 million across the region. So there is significant money for conservation projects through grants. In summary, please pass the resolution on your agenda this evening that allows the town to request inclusion into the Highlands Act region and allows Southbury Land Trust and the town to have other open space funding mechanisms. There's really no downside to doing this. It's only benefit.
Any question from the board?
Yeah, I had a question. Thanks for coming tonight.
Sure,
and,
thanks.
Presenting. I've reviewed the materials, and it sounds like a great program to be involved in. My main question was, does it come with any obligations for the town? Like, if
No.
we're in this region, what do we have to do, other than if there's a project coming up, these organizations have funding available that they can apply for? Is there anything else?
No,
Okay,
nothing else, no. So that there is no obligation. It's a grant by grant basis. A grant may have obligations associated with it when you apply for that grant. So that each one will be different. So that you have to work with each grant to understand what restrictions might be as part of the property that is being, or whatever project they're working on, or property that might be conserved.
okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
So the only, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
Now, a couple questions. So the only part we play in this is basically, like you said, just want to make sure I'm correct. We just need to say, yeah, we'd like to be part of that group. And then does that become, in other words, are you automatically part of that group? Or is it then there's other criteria that has to be met? Or how does that? So we say, yes, we'd like to be part of the group.
Yep.
What happens next?
It's a 2-year process. That's all I know. Regina, do you know any more of the detail of that? Yeah.
So you
Whether
would
they
still
approve
have to
us
be.
or not, I don't know if it's a guarantee that we are, but
Got it.
I think this was a suggestion of this group, that this be changed
Right.
because of the way that map showed. I think they're just trying to, looks like they're cleaning it up. to
more
make
contiguous of the
contiguous,
highland,
it
right? yeah.
runs up through the highlands rather than exclude these other areas.
Are the Highlands like a geographical?
Put the map back, is that, yeah, it is. It goes from.
What defines the Highlands, in other words?
It's the Appalachian Trail Club and the Appalachian Mountain Club and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Said these are sensitive areas that are really more mountainous areas outside of the suburban areas.
In other
New
words-
Jersey, New York, and Connecticut.
Does a town, are there towns that might, in other words, like, do we need to be at a certain, what makes an area Highlands?
I think it's just a term.
Is it
Well,
just
I
a
mean,
coined phrase, or is it a
If you look-
geological?
If you look at it as, it tends to be the Appalachian Mountain Chain that is part of, I don't think it's off of that, it is following the Appalachian Mountain Chain
Okay.
on the map. So you can see, if you scroll up, you can see the total contiguous green area there.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And that does follow the mountain chain there. I mean, we're right on the edge here, for sure, but
Yeah,
it'd be good if we could be included in that.
great. Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Just curious.
This was brought to me, they could just have had me sign the papers and it was done, but I felt that the board would want to be part of this. I know we're all for our open space and our plan of conservation and development. I just figured the board would want to be part of being included on this.
Happy to talk
That's
about it.
super.
Does anybody on, Holly or John, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there any autonomy that's sacrificed from the land trust now to this higher organization? Like, are there any strings attached, I guess is my question. Like, is there anything the land trust would then be bound by that they're not currently?
No, we won't be bound by anything. We can ask for money now, but we don't have to. But we will.
There's no real
Very
downside
good,
here.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Up next is public comment. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes. If you want to come up and make a public comment. Is there any public comment? Quick, before I call the third and final public comment.
Hi, my name is Deborah Brody. I live in
Step
Heritage.
back, speak just.
Oh, okay. My name is Deborah Brody. I live in Heritage Village. And I just want to briefly thank the Southbury Land Trust for bringing forward this motion and say that I support it very much. For me, one of the reasons is the uphill areas are also upstream areas. So protecting this part of our state geography will help our watershed and help us have better water to drink. So I'm very grateful that this is being done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi there. My name is Roger Kennedy, 438A Heritage Village. I'd just like to thank the leadership of Southbury Municipal Government and the Region 15 leadership for coming to Heritage Village yesterday and presenting the 23-24 budget. I think it was important for the folks in Heritage Village to to understand the details, what's driving some changes in cost, changing in budget, and also talk about reevaluation. I thought it went well, a lot of good questions, and a lot of good answers. So thank you to Jeff and your team, and to the superintendent of Region 15 and their team. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Any other public comment? 2 times. Hearing none, we'll move on. You have your announcements and correspondence in your report. We'll move on to consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Motion to approve. Can I have a second?
Motion to
Second.
approve.
Made and seconded. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It carries. Next up is,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
in the interest of the Land Trust time who came to speak with us today, before going into executive session, can I make a motion to rearrange the agenda and take up now item L1, the Highland Conservation Act resolution, so they don't have to stick around for the whole meeting?
They don't trust us?
I'll second. I'll
Made
se-
and seconded to move it up, the item up, the Highland Conservation Act resolution under new business. Any discussion on moving it up? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It carries. Jason, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen adopt the resolution as presented.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, signify, if approved, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? And it carries. Thank you. We kept our attorney waiting. That's important.
It's an extra .1. Thank you.
I have entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the town of Southbury versus Alan Salzman, ETAL, discussion of pending litigation in executive session and any action that may be taken after the executive session.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine, I second it. Can I amend the motion to invite Tom Kalin? Did you say that? I just didn't hear it. I wasn't.
Yes, invite, I didn't say Tom Kalin, but our town attorney to be in the executive session. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We're in executive session. We'll go into 2:08. Thank you.
Good to see you. Had to wear shorts and a shirt today. I know, it's beautiful.
Is that it for on the air conditioner?
I was suited tie for you guys. Sorry.
We can't read, we can't even pay attention.
Ankle still hurts.
Yeah, it's got it for a while, right?
They said more than a year. I was just, all day today, no problems. Got out of my car right here, walking in, I was like, oh, it's just intermittent.
Wow, that's
I can't
horrible.
figure it out.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here by myself now, so.
Okay, we're back out of executive session. For those who are still watching, it's 7:37. Minutes of March 16th, 2023. Do we have John and Holly back on before we keep going? John, you're on?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Got a second by Greg? Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Hear none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? It carries. We do have a quorum. We still have John Deal on the line, just for, Holly may be trying to get on. Next up is transfers. Do you want to go line by line, or do we want to, motion to approve the transfers as presented?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the transfers? Hearing none. Signify, if everybody's approved, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
John?
Yep, aye.
Thank you. And it passes. Bids and procurements. Pickleball courts.
Motion to approve the bid on the pickleball courts as presented.
Greg, can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion to approve the bids as presented?
Just more on the project. What's the timeline for the pickleball courts?
We are assuming, Jason, that the courts will be playable by mid-May,
Oh.
If all goes well, otherwise.
Yeah, we had a good season. The pad is being built. The guys, our crews have gotten, they're knocking it out of the park, compacting it. And we're, I think, just about ready for them, so we can, yeah.
So we're doing the site
Prep.
work in-house, and then these guys are coming in and installing the courts. Great.
It's working great. A great crew. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
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 Aye?
Aye.
And John and Holly. Okay, thank you. Bid on the excavator. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded. Sorry.
Okay. Any discussion on this? I just want to say that this is one of the reasons we're looking to do this. This is for over-the-fence mowing also. It'd be more versatile than buying a regular tractor. It'll be able to reach further, or move around better, and we think it'll be a better application than just a tractor. We are also keeping the old tractor. It's more the over-the-fence mower that's a problem. And that's going to go with we have a brush hog that will go on that, so we can brush hog other fields. So I think this is going to work out well.
Where was this, is this like a vehicle replacement plan item or a capital, or where was this?
This is in the replacement plan, Jason?
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not adding anything. Any other discussion? All those who approve signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Thank you. It's approved. On-call metal beam rail installations. Can I have a motion?
A motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. Jason?
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Yep, aye.
Thank you, John. Holly, aye?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. And it's approved. On-call catch basin construction. You have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And it's approved. Next is the turf management bid. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
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 Thank you. It's unanimous. On-call tree removal, stump grinding and emergency tree services. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion on on this? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. And that takes care of bids and procurements. Unfinished business, Ballantine Pool, we've been keeping this on just so we have it in place and we don't miss it. I don't think we will. But is there any question or? No,
Is the question on here, Jeff, on the question for the?
that's on,
The bonding is next.
yeah.
Actually, yeah, quick question. We're still working towards doing, I don't know how to, sorry if I'm describing it wrong, like bid packages with options. We're still moving towards
Right.
getting that info.
Right, waiting for them to get back to
Okay.
us.
Do they have a ETA on that?
They said it would take to do the full bid spec package, probably about 30 to 45 days. So probably by mid-May, we should have that back.
Probably mid-May for those, they didn't hear that, probably mid-May.
We'll start construction in September. Right. We have to follow a very tight timeline.
Okay, thank you.
So that, just to go back to that for a sec, so once those are ready, those packages, they come to us before we send them out? Because I know there's some things people are interested in seeing in them,
Yeah,
so,
and then they go out, then they'll go out to bid.
okay.
And according to Silver Petrocelli, there's a very limited number of companies that have the ability to bid on this, so.
Okay. Next up, discussion of the opioid litigation settlement. This is part of the lawsuits that we had entered into many, many years ago. I don't know if all the board was on. I just wanted, it's a settlement for a lawsuit, so we need to bring it to the board to approve. There's, the negotiations are taken care of with big attorneys and the government, and it is what it is. We don't really sit in it. We either go along with the settlement or we get nothing. But I need authorization to participate in, to settle it.
This is litigation that's, the plaintiffs are dozens of towns, like it's, you know, it's not Southbury, it's,
169 towns in the state of Connecticut.
they're
Yeah.
all,
169, yeah, when we started there, Mayor O'Leary was, our COG was part of, probably the first to start moving on this, I think. And we didn't know what we would get, or if we would get, or what would happen. I don't know how much it's gonna be. They're gonna be dividing it up. There's a whole thing, they've got this. But we have a chance to get some money. There may be some conditions on it. You have to have a program, you might have to do something, but at least we're part of it if I don't have authorization to sign.
I just don't want to guess at this. What is the, what's the intention of the argument of the settlement?
The argument of the settlement?
Yeah, why are people being sued? I don't really understand this case.
The drug manufacturers? For
As
the-
it pertains to I know all about drug manufacturers and an opioid crisis.
Well,
How
they-
does that impact Southbury as it pertains to this lawsuit?
That, we're participating in the lawsuit. You,
Why are they suing them? And
Suing
who's
them?
being sued?
well, one of them is settling. They're not being sued, but they've agreed to settle.
Okay.
That's everything from the production of the opioids and the amounts they were putting out. It's pretty complicated. I can't answer that right here. I just, no way. But 169 towns, and either we're going to be authorized, I'm going to be authorized to agree to the settlements. If we don't, we get nothing.
essentially it's the towns have I mean, there's been lots of litigation with pharmaceutical companies, and this is one of the offshoots of that, and it's municipalities protecting their residents and bringing, joining in on these claims. This is not, we joined this, may have been like our first, many years ago. There's been no cost to the town, so it's, it's separate, there's, like council that represents all the towns and is dealing with the litigation and the.
Sure, it's a
negotiation.
class action suit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just become a member of it. I was just curious the background on it and how Southbury was a part of it.
Previous board?
Every town and city in in Connecticut is a part of it then.
Yeah.
Or was asked to. Okay.
So can I have a motion to approve the resolution to approve the attached opioid settlement agreements?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye,
Aye.
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 and it carries. We did the Highland Conservation Act resolution already. Bonding resolution for Ballantine Pool. Do we have
I'd like to
that?
make a
I'll
motion.
move that.
to-
What's that, John?
I was going to say, if you're looking for a motion to move that bonding resolution forward, I will make that motion.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any further discussion? Do we have the motion?
So
So we,
just for purposes of discussion, just to clarify what we're doing, so the Board of Selectmen is approving the appropriation and and how we're gonna pay for it through bonding. The Board of Finance is also gonna have to do that, but we don't have the authority to actually do that on our own. We're gonna send it to referendum, and it's gonna be on the ballot in May. So the next thing we're gonna do after we vote on this is, I think we have to add to the agenda the ballot question and approve the ballot question. And then for the public's benefit, it says $1.3 million on there. I just want to make sure people recall that we had a town meeting about a month or so ago reallocating Edgewood funds to the Valentine project in the amount of $2,115,000. So we've already appropriated over $2 million towards this project. This is the balance of our estimate. So the pool project isn't a $1.3 million project, it's a $3.3 million project. But we've appropriated a portion, and this portion of the appropriation is going to be done through bonding, which requires this mechanism.
and I could see where someone may be mistaken that we've cut the number down to 1.3, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Any other
Quite a
discussion?
deal.
Hearing none, can I signify by saying aye? Aye,
Aye.
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 and it carries.
I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda the approval of a ballot question regarding the bonding resolution that we just adopted.
Second that motion.
So the resolution for the question is, shall the $1,300,000 appropriation and bond authorization for planning, design, acquisition, construction, equipping, and furnishing of a community pool and bathhouse be approved? Do I have that motion?
I make a motion that we approve the question to put on the budget ballot in May.
Seconded.
Greg has seconded it. Any further discussion?
Just I spoke to Dan earlier about a potential edit, and I just wasn't sure if you had the opportunity to talk to bond counsel.
Yes. So we can add, if we wanted to, just to clarify, Valentine Park to this question as well.
So we would have to,
So it could say,
After
we need a motion to amend.
bathhouse at Valentine Park.
bathhouse. Yeah, at Valentine Park. Okay. So I'd like to move to amend the motion to include Ballantyne Park as currently shown.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. Any discussion on that modification? Signify by saying aye. Aye,
Aye.
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 and it carries. So we have the motion made and seconded and discussed. It reads, the question on the ballot will be, shall the $1,300,000 appropriation and bond authorization for the planning, design, acquisition, construction, equipping, and furnishing of a community pool and bathhouse at Ballantyne Park be approved? I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And nobody's opposed, and the motion carries. Okay, that carries. First Selectmen's report. I'm very excited about this. I didn't put it out because I think that we really need to give this its credit. The Southbury Police Department has achieved Tier 1 accreditation. We are the first resident trooper town in the state of Connecticut to meet Tier 1 accreditation. And I'd like to read this into the record. Dear First Selectman Manville, in accordance with Public Act Number 22-119, an act concerning accreditation standards for law enforcement units, the Police Officers Standard and Training Accreditation Division completed a Tier 1 accreditation file review of the Southbury Police Department. This is written notification of the findings. The file review began Monday, February 27th, and ended Friday, March 10th, 2023. The accreditation assessment team consisted of 2 members, Lieutenant Laura Trzakny, Sergeant Amanda Martin, and Officer Scott Lesage. The lead assessor for the team was Dan Brennan. Attached is the assessment report, which includes a Tier 1 accreditation outcome report, detailed findings report, and each chapter with standard findings. The Southbury Police Department has met the post-state accreditation standards for Tier 1. We congratulate your agency on achieving the Tier 1 accreditation status pending approval of post council, which means they have to be voted on, but that's a technicality. We invite the Southbury Police Department to join the next post-council meeting scheduled May 11th, 2023 via Zoom that will serve as an exit meeting. The next phase of the accreditation process is to continue to write directives to meet Tier 2 standards. Our assessment team will return to your agency on March 28th, 2024 for your scheduled Tier 2 on-site assessment. If possible, we strongly encourage your agency to also meet the Tier 3 standards. Training will be ongoing to assist agencies with achieving their Tier 3 accreditation status. We will meet with your accreditation manager to explain the details of the phase expectations. If you have any questions or concerns, please call me or email me. On behalf of the Police Officers Standard and Training Division, we would like to thank all the members of Southbury Police Department for demonstrating professionalism and support for the state of Connecticut's mission to achieve full accreditation by 2026. We have, on the back, we had to sign it, but this is a full in compliance accreditation standard. I also want to say who the people worked on this. It was Sergeant Grillo, Sergeant Recupero, Detective Brianna Cretella, and Catherine, the admin that is in the PD. They all worked on this very hard. I can tell you this Board of Selectmen and the town of Southbury should be very proud of this department. To be the first constabulary, the first resident trooper town to be fully accredited, the size of what we are, and was expressed to me by Jessica Blank that we should be the, what do they call that? I can't think here. For the rest of the resident troopers towns, the example of how to do it. And it's just unbelievable. It took a lot of hard work, and they're to be commended for it. And I never thought, frankly, didn't think we would ever be the first. It's quite a process. I would even say it's quite a process for an organized PD.
Can I add to this? Because I did a quick Google search just to understand this a little better. 327 individual standards that have to be met to get your tier 1. So they break it down into 3 tiers, 120 standards for the 3rd tier, 83 standards for the 2nd tier, right? First tier, or I should say 3rd tier, is general management, then professional certification, 83 standards, then a liability certification, 124 standards. To have to voluntarily, no-cost, voluntary, self-directed process meet 327 separate standards is pretty remarkable.
Well, it also tells you that this department has been operating, even though it's a state police A&O manual, there are other things that we do. That it tells the community too that we've been adhering to a process, and there's been processes. There's some things they had to document, but it tells you that the documentation, a lot of it was not new. They've already been doing it. And I'm pretty proud of this. I was extremely excited about that, to be the first in the state.
That's great news.
So our hats off to the PD and the staff over there too that got that done. As you know, we had a town employee appreciation luncheon for a Make-A-Wish. We're asking employees to, if there's something that's really dear to their heart, come to us. We'll support it. We had last Wednesday, the town had the honor of recognizing town employees and helping a worthy charity at the same time. We held an employee appreciation luncheon to thank our staff for the great work they're doing. And because we purchased the food from Jersey Mike's on the annual day of giving, 100% of the purchase was donated to Make-A-Wish Connecticut. In addition, employees collected and donated $170 on their own for this charity. So thank you for all those that participated in this. I'd also like to, in correspondence, you saw a letter, but I just think it should also be, because we don't always get good letters. And I would like to comment Mr. Kavanaugh's positive feedback of our town departments. He stated there is a lot right in Southbury and wanted to point that out. In short, he thanked the Public Works for keeping the roads safe during the snowstorms. He said they are always ahead of the problem. He thanked the library staff who are consistently pleasant, helpful, and full of knowledge, and he swears that they take nice pills every day before work, which is nice to hear. He also thanked the fire department for their speed of response. There was a call up in that area where he lives and level of professionalism. When they came to his neighbor's aid during a house fire, he added the police were also there within minutes to ensure everyone's safety. I appreciate Mr. Kavanaugh's taking the time to write. And again, we're always proud of our fire department, our library staff, our public works, and the town hall staff, all that make this town really run so well. And I think they're doing a great job and makes my life easier. And I hopefully the Board of Selectmen aren't getting many calls with problems. Also, just as was alluded to on the presentations, we did have a presentation of Heritage Village on the town and Board of Education budgets, and a question and answer session. It's funny, it was well received. For the most part, everybody was very impressed with the presentation and what was given. Sadly, they said, we should do these. And I reminded everybody that there was a couple years of COVID where we really couldn't do these kinds of meetings where we could get the word out in the past, but now we're certainly anticipate every budget season having a meeting with the public and certainly with Heritage Village to go over the budgets. And one thing that was said at the meeting, and I absolutely agree with, Heritage Village always supports our educational system. And really what was shown there is that for the money that is spent, which is below the average, the quality of education is one of the highest. So the bang for our buck is there with the schools, and they're doing a great job. So it went on pretty well. Can I reports from, I don't think Mr. Betty has been able to get in. Jason, could you give a report?
The only group that's met since our last meeting is the Police Study Committee. We've actually had a couple of, we're in the process of interviewing various towns that have recently switched from resident state trooper towns to independent police forces. We met with East Lyme, we met with Montville. Last night we met with our former resident state trooper, Brian Van Ness, which was a very nice conversation. And we've gone through the process now of gathering financial information, meeting with folks. There's going to be one more meeting with the police department next week. And then we're starting to shift into sort of finalizing what information we need and looking at what a report might look like to the Board of Selectmen in the next couple months. So that's what's
Okay,
going on.
thank you. John, do you have a report, or do you want to pass on this tonight?
Yeah, if you can hear me, I'll just do it quickly. The Conservation Commission met Bennett Park. They are installing, or having installed a no-mow zone that'll keep folks back from a steeper embankment to avoid erosion. They're adding a few more grills in that park also. Hinman Park, they did some work on Trailhead to move it off of, I guess, an adjacent neighbor's property and make it basically the center of our Platt Park, the footbridge that was has some erosion issues, and a group of volunteers and part of our town was up there and repaired that bridge. So some pretty cool work. Picked up, they're purchasing 2 benches that go on some of the 2 of the conservation property, make it a little bit more comfortable on a visit. And then what we've heard before is the hemlock woolly adderage, if I said that correctly. We are going to be some biological control, additional techs that will take care of them. They're purchasing 5 colonies that will be deployed, I guess you would say, May through June. So taking care of our hemlock. And then the Community Relations Task Force met, and they set a co-chairs are Terry Sullivan and Colette Mambo, and Gabby Leonard will be the secretary. So our paperwork and our details in order. And today we sat our final member, the Reverend Gorin from the United Church of Christ, who will round out the Community Relations Task Force. So I know they're looking forward to getting some good work done.
Thank you. Greg?
All right, Senior Commission has not met, IT Steering has not met. Energy Task Force did meet. I unfortunately could not make that meeting. So I will have a report for all 3 of my groups at the next meeting.
Holly, are you all set with Region 15?
Yeah, so obviously it's budget season, so that's the primary focus of what's going on with the region. Last week, several of us from the Board of Selectmen, I think it was myself, Jeff, and Jason, we took a little tour with the Board of Ed over at the high school to look at some of the capital projects that need to be invested in, particularly the pool. There's some corrosion underneath the bottom of the pool. So we actually went underneath the pool in the high school to actually see what was going on and get an understanding of why they're asking for some of the funding that they're asking for, as well as some of the outbuildings down by the field, and in some of the classroom spaces, as well as the auditorium. So I think it was a really, just a really unique opportunity to kind of really see the need for some of this funding, and I think it was an incredibly valuable experience. I really appreciate the Board of Ed inviting us, and I think that it really opened up really productive dialogue regarding the budget.
Okay, thank you. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Passover, a happy Easter. Enjoy the holiday time, and hopefully a safe one with your families. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.